Hey, happy spring, Rachel. Patrick, thank you for joining
Mhm.
us again. Yeah. Happy spring. I mean, doesn't it feel like spring has just like bam? I mean, almost overnight.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, and everything's blooming. All the daffodils are out, and the cherry blossoms are booming in Corvallis. So yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah,
Listen, it's
so beautiful.
104 degrees today. I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay.
It's 104 degrees in Arizona today. It's not spring. It's the
Rachel,
Mojave Desert.
Rachel, it's
Summer
time
hit
for you to
early.
come home. It's
I know.
time for you to come home.
2 weeks, you guys. 2 weeks. I will be
Okay.
home. I am loving it, but no, spring has sprung here, and what I'm loving is learning what spring looks like in the desert, which is so
Yeah. What does
different.
spring look like? Yeah. What does it
You
look like
guys,
there?
all those crusty, spiky, angry plants in the desert bloom and do beautiful, amazing things out of nowhere. You're like, what's that flower? Oh, okay. It's like thorns and nodules and like, it's like prehistoric looking plants, and then all of a sudden a flower, and they're so
Oh.
pretty. And sometimes they don't open all the time. They're always opening and closing because it's hot and
Oh.
stuff. So that's been really fun to see what a
Wow,
desert
yeah, yeah, a
succulent
new
will
spring experience.
Mhm.
That's wonderful. A
Yeah.
new spring experience, and, it's so inviting, and you just want to be outside. Well,
Yeah.
anyway, maybe not in 104-degree weather, but yeah, a new spring experience, and we're talking about maybe having a new experience
Yes.
with, sleep.
Mhm.
Yeah. And yeah,
Mhm.
last time we talked about a little, we introduced it because we had the spring forward
Mhm.
and, disruption in our sleep schedule. And then a reminder of how important sleep is for our
Mhm.
overall health. Patrick, I think you took a little deep dive into that. Could you share a little bit about what you're, relearning or just kind of reinforcing what you're learning?
Yeah, yeah. I thought it'd be fun to just kind of go over why sleep matters, what it is, why it matters to our health and overall well-being, and then maybe go into some practical tips and tricks that
Mhm.
people can implement in their daily lives to improve their
Yeah.
sleep,
Yeah.
and improve some of the factors we're talking about. So,
Mhm.
really, I think one of the things I found that's very true is sleep is probably the most underrated driver of metabolic health.
Mm,
If your sleep is off, everything goes off. Your hunger,
mm,
your cravings, your energy, your mood. Sleep has impacts on all of these elements. And
Mhm.
so
mhm.
if I think often what we find clinically, and I'm sure Dr. G can admit to this, and Rachel, is that patients often know a lot about sleep and they know it's
Mm,
important, but they might even know some of the things that they should be doing in order to
mhm,
prioritize and improve their sleep. But it's one of the things that often goes by the wayside when life gets
mhm,
stressful, when work gets stressful, and all these other things.
mhm,
So I thought, just to kind of set the tone, it's important to know that sleep is an active biological process. It's not just,
mhm,
you're not just unconscious. There's a lot going on in the background that you're not thinking about when you go to sleep. And when you're improving your quality of sleep, all of those active biological processes are improved, and it leads to impacts on your hormones, your appetite, your weight, your mood, your overall performance. So
mhm, mhm.
um, I think, given that we talk to patients a lot about lifestyle medicine. Oh, go
Yeah,
ahead.
yeah. Can I stop you right there?
Mhm.
No. Mhm. Yeah, sorry. I wanted to interject. Sorry, I'm interrupting. I know, and that's something that I'm working on, not interrupting. But
No, yeah.
as you're saying this, and just I'm listening to you saying we're underrating sleep. We know what we should be doing. Um, it occurs to me that the body's process of sleep is kind of I mean, I'm trying to make this analogy. I was thinking like there's a natural law in our bodies, that just like gravity,
Mhm.
that we just can't ignore, right? Gravity is, and sleep is maybe are the important. Maybe I should say, and help me out here. The importance of sleep is, and we can't ignore gravity.
Mhm.
Um, and so why should we think we can ignore the importance of sleep. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Is that, am I
Absolutely.
making sense? Maybe can you help me with that? I mean, this picture in my mind is that like I what goes up must come down. So if I don't have good sleep, it's going to have ramifications in my health.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
I just helping myself to really embrace that as just that is what it is. And
Yeah.
and sometimes I think we expect ourselves to be superhuman,
Mhm.
superhuman. Like
Yeah.
Rachel, what do you
I
think
mean,
about that? Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, Patrick, go ahead, and then I'll maybe
no,
comment.
no. I was just gonna. I was gonna say that there's this. There's a book I read by Matthew Walker years
Mhm.
ago, called like Why We Sleep, and I think there's a whole chapter in there that's really interesting. It talks a lot about the, maybe the evolutionary idea of it. If you're looking at life all around us and how every organism we know, every animal we know sleeps, and from a biological perspective, you'd think sleep it's crazy. You're going to go, borderline unconscious for a period of time. You're completely defenseless out in the
Yeah.
wild. And if there was a reason for it to not be important, you would think it wouldn't exist because you're in the most vulnerable state when you're passed out asleep. And so it means that if for nature to provide this level of vulnerability, it means that it's got to be really important. It's got to be non-negotiable.
That's a great point. Like I've always thought sleep is such a trippy thing because it's like this collective agreement that all humans at the same, roughly the same time of night, we all like walk to this separate room in our house. We change our outfits. You guys, we have special outfits for sleep, right? It might be your birthday suit, but it also is like maybe jammies. But we actually like have outfits for sleep. And then we all like do this robotic thing where we like find ourselves, we lay ourselves down into this totally vulnerable position. And then we basically go unconscious for 8 hours. It's a trip. And we're all doing it across the entire globe at different times, of course, whatever. But we all have this like unspoken agreement. Like this is the thing that we all do. And, best to leave each other alone during this time. We might be vulnerable, but if we're going to fight, maybe do it during the day, like let me sleep, so it is kind of a trip, but I love that when you pointed out, like, if it wasn't necessary, we wouldn't do it. If we didn't need it, you can only go so many hours before your body literally will shut you down. Like you'll literally pass out. Right. It will be a forced thing. And I like that perspective. And Dr. Gilbert, I get what you were trying to articulate, though I could see that it's a hard thing to understand. Like I get how you're trying to put it into this different category. Gravity is, I don't argue with it. I don't fight against it. I don't try to see how I can get around it. I don't manipulate it. I don't try to half-ass it. No, it is. And sleep is. And if we were to switch our mindsets and really embrace it fully, it's releasing that fight against it, or it becomes kind of like a rule of life. This is what I do, and I protect this. And things ebb and flow. It comes and goes, and it's not always great. But we can create a lifestyle where we create the benefit, sleep to happen. We can create a lifestyle that makes sleep happen to the best of our ability. So. Yeah.
Very good. Yeah. And we've recently, and we might have talked about this last time, but Patrick has created this kind of we're calling it a lifestyle snapshot.
Nice.
Where we're trying to help people just become more aware of what their habits are, and around movement, around eating, and particularly around sleep. And I think it's just raising the level of this is what I'm doing. And sometimes we don't know what we're doing until we write it down and we see it there in front of us. And I think that first step of improving sleep is just, what am I doing? What am I doing now? Yeah. So you have some ideas about good sleep hygiene, Patrick, and you want to talk to us about that?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think really when it comes down to sleep hygiene, the major things, there's a couple pillars. One is a consistent schedule. That's a very important one. Another would be light exposure. It's another thing we can talk
Well, back
about.
up and tell me what you mean. Sorry, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
What do you mean by
Yeah,
consistent schedule?
yeah, yeah, absolutely. I'll just list out the four. So there's consistent schedule, light exposure, environment, and wind down routine. Those are the four, I think, pillars of a good sleep hygiene. So starting with consistent schedule, a lot of research has shown that the most important thing you do is your wake up time, not actually when you go to bed. So going to bed, obviously, if you wake up at the same time every day, you wake up at 6 a.m. and you need your 8 hours, you should be asleep by 10 p.m. But if you negotiate that 10 p.m. to a 10:30 or an 11 on a weekend or something like that, it doesn't have as much impact as sleeping in on the weekends will. So they've done some good research on that. But waking up is what sets your internal clock. And it kind of bleeds into the next pillar, which is light exposure. So light exposure is important on both bookends of the day, but it's very important in the beginning of the day. So having light, blue light specifically, in the early morning, sunlight being the best version of that, but you can find artificial ones that do it. That triggers a very specific nucleus in the top of your in your brain, and the suprachiasmatic nucleus, and that's going to set your daily clock. And that's very important to have that exposed right early in the morning, right when you wake up, to set your daily rhythms. It's going to put all your hormonal ups and downs and peaks and troughs into motion. So it's very important to practice good light exposure in the morning and to limit light in the evenings. So that kind of bleeds into environment, limiting your light in the morning, in the evening times. Blue light particularly, try to avoid it. Use your phone settings to get that warm light, that orange light. If you're a reader at night, maybe investing in a Kindle that has a warm light feature can allow you to read and not disrupt your sleep. A cool room, dark environment, those are all really important. And then lastly, wind down routine. So you can't go from 100 miles per hour to sleep. You're not superhuman. Kind of taking a note out of Dr. G's notebook. You're not superhuman. You need to have at least 60 minutes to wind down, reading, stretching, taking a hot shower, doing something that calms your sympathetic nervous system, drives you into that parasympathetic rest and digest mode so you can relax and wind down. And that's all going to add to quality of sleep, which matters far more than quantity. So those are some of my tips. I don't know if either of you have some cool.
I've got some questions for you that I hear a lot from clients that get a little confused around light in the morning. So they're asking me questions like, does it count if it's coming through the window? What if it's gray and gloomy outside? And for 9 months out of the year in Oregon, we don't really have like sun, right? So then what? What if I wake up at 5 a.m. and I go to work at 7 and the light it's still nighttime. It's still dark out, So how could you speak to some of those questions about, I've heard that it's like, get that light within 1 hour of waking, so within the first hour of being awake, can you expose your retina to light? And like you said, we can get those light boxes, and we really have to invest in the ones that are the highest, the lumens that we need. And I've written that down before, and I can't remember what we need, because not all light boxes are created equal. Not all of them actually hit the right lumen. But yeah, could you speak a little bit more to some of those questions that people are thinking about? What does it mean to get light in the morning, and what counts?
Yeah, I mean, I've been doing a lot of talking, so I'll let Dr. G take that if you have actual advice on that.
Okay. Yeah, sure. Yeah. So I think you're going to get the broadest spectrum of the visible light when you're outside, and you're going to get that on a cloudy day, or you're going to get more lux on a bright sunny day. So it may take less time, but you're going to get that on a cloudy day too. So outside. Yeah. Now we've become very efficient in our windows, right? And they block out. Obviously I have the visible spectrum of light through the window, but I'm not getting the full spectrum and the full dose of, the UV that helps me, the UV that helps me, which is a morning UV. and then the near infrared light that helps me. So I'm getting more than visible light when I'm going outside and exposing my eyeball, to the sunlight. And so the best thing I think would be is outside, and you're going to get more lux than through, the glass. I mean, I'm obviously I can see, so I'm getting visible light through that glass, but I'm not getting the full spectrum of the sunlight that helps me so much with anchoring my body clock, with managing, insulin, with my vitamin D levels and things like that, than I would sitting inside. Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes I think we've outsmarted ourselves with the, with our technology. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other question is, so say you get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and before the sun comes up, and that is high. Then sometime during, I would say, now it's getting lighter earlier, but before 9 seems to be that time frame where that sun exposure for anchoring your body clock happens best, before 9 a.m. Yeah.
So maybe for people working in a, they're working in a hospital, there's not a lot of windows, right? Sometimes you're just in total darkness. If you've been to work early before the sun actually even came up, the day even started, taking that first break or something and getting out when the light does come, even if it's gray light, even if it's cloudy light, it's way more lux than even the lights inside the building. So get out there and get it, even though it's you've been awake for a couple of hours already.
Yeah. 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 Very good. Yeah. So, and I'm hearing what I'm appreciating is how it's a daily thing, every day. I need to reconnect my body clock with, with the sunlight. And some people might think that's a drudgery, but in my mind, I'm thinking I get to start over again. I mean, this is a new day.
Yeah.
Maybe I didn't do everything I wanted to do yesterday. Well, but today's a new day. His mercies are new every morning. And it can, so I get another opportunity to, to prioritize some things that I know that are good for my health.
Yeah, that's a great point, that it's like a clock. We have body clock. We have internal, many of them. We have them in our skin. We have lots of different ones, and there's a main driver body clock, but there's other parts of our bodies have their own clocks, but they're generally on the same time, and they start over every day. That is like a nice thought to think of, that it's not like we can start fresh, and our body wants to reset. It wants to reset the clock, and it will. And then it runs the hours out, and then it resets every day, just like the sun does, just like every day does. So there is that kind of like that renewal every day.
Yeah. Yeah. So great. So let's say there are some listeners out there that are like, okay, I get it. Sleep is important. Where can they start as far as, maybe diving in and really trying to do better with their sleep?
Yeah. I mean, I think the top 5 tips I would give, practical things you could start tomorrow if you wanted to, would be to get morning sunlight, which we've just emphasized and talked about, but with a consistent wake time. I think that's probably the most important step 1. If you could work on a consistent wake time with morning sunlight, you'll notice improvement in your daily clock, which is going to, add sleep pressure, make you more tired later in the day. So you won't have that problem with, I can't get to bed early enough. I'm wide awake. I mean, it'll add sleep pressure. So set and stick to a wake time consistently and morning light. But outside of that, some other tips, maybe stopping caffeine 8 to 10 hours before you go to bed is a really helpful one.
Yeah.
Making sure you're dimming your lights at night for 1 to 2 hours before you go to sleep, to kind of have the reverse effect of what you did in the morning and triggering your system, and creating a good wind down routine. All those things are going to help a lot with your, so all those are tips that you could do tomorrow, you can do tonight. But yeah, I think the studies that I was reading about over this last couple days show that a morning sunlight and consistent wake time was one of the most important factors with getting people to readjust to their natural circadian rhythm and improving their quality of sleep. You know, kind of branching into like what away from practical tips and more into just common pitfalls that I saw a lot in clinical medicine so far. You know, the phrase "I'll catch up on the weekends" is one you hear a lot. That really leads to partial recovery at best, unfortunately, according to the data that we have. So making sure that you're adding, like I said, to this consistent time will really help over a long period of time. You'll notice the benefits in your own health and your mood and your energy. There are patients that I've heard say that they require a drink before they go to bed. Some people like to have an alcoholic beverage. Alcohol is very difficult with sleep. It interferes with our ability to get REM sleep, which is one of the most restful parts of our sleep. It interferes with our dreams, things like that. So maybe avoiding alcohol at least 2 to 3 hours before you hit the hay is really advisable. People doom scroll on their phones before bed. There's a problem in 2 ways. One, there's the light. That's not great. Another is that activates your brain. It gets you kind of fired up. Our brain, or, you know, technology is really good at grabbing our attention. It's amazing at that. And this is the time during your wind down routine that you need to be calming down. And relaxing your brain. So doing something that's very relaxing, not engaging is super important to calm yourself down. So those are some of the common pitfalls I hear all the time. I don't know if either of you have any fun ones that you hear or advice to avoid that.
I think the scrolling is probably the number one. That's probably the most common among all of the clients I work with who struggle with sleep, is some sort of doom scrolling or reading late into the night and reading a book that's stimulating. You know, reading is great. It's a calming, but not if you love the book. If you love the book and it's an awesome book, you're trying to get to the next chapter and the next chapter. And then, it's 2 o'clock in the morning and you're still reading. So then that's not a great strategy, right? Like, I know we've all had that experience where you're reading a book and you just can't put it down and all of a sudden it's really late. So, but the scrolling and the activating the mind with whether it's a scroll, a video games, stupid games like solitaire, or even I had a client say, well, they're really good for my brain. These are brain learning games. I'm like, that's great. Don't do them before bed. You know, like you're stimulating your brain and you're getting addicted. Like you can't put it down. You're doing it over and over and over again. So she was weighing the benefit to her brain and thinking it was better to do it than not do it. And even though it was impacting sleep, you know, and just kind of when you lay it out, you realize, but it's, you know, it could be done somewhere else in the day. And then I can get the benefit of that. But yeah, I think the scrolling, and I think it's interesting what you said, Patrick, about alcohol, because for a lot of people, if they're using alcohol right before bed, it's to help them fall asleep. And for many of us, it does help you fall asleep, but it doesn't help you stay asleep. And it doesn't help you get the quality or the depth of sleep that you would have gotten. And many people don't realize that. They don't know that it's disrupted their sleep because maybe they feel like they slept all the way through. But what was going on during that sleep, that alcohol, especially as it's processing through the liver, what did it do in disruption during the night? So finding better ways, other ways to help you fall asleep, to get you that kind of schmoopy kind of feeling where you just kind of want to fall asleep is more behavioral and that environment and that you were talking about.
So true. So true. Yeah. Yeah. Your organs, to your point, Rachel, your organs are trying to recharge and regenerate and repair. And if you drink alcohol, right, you know, then you're asking your liver to work when it's really not supposed to. Right. So same with eating before bed too. You're stimulating your pancreas and your liver, and you know, and your organs are trying to do different things during sleep and not process alcohol or food. And so it is going to be disruptive to the sleep. So true. So yeah, something that lulls you to sleep. So I was thinking of, well, looking at a fire down low is one thing that's very long exercise. And for me, you know, and but then I was thinking books, you know, you were mentioning books that are boring. Well,
Yeah.
this book isn't boring. The one that you mentioned earlier, Patrick, Why We Sleep, excellent book, although it's really dense and it's not
Mhm.
something that is going to keep you.
Right.
You can start reading that book.
Yes.
I promise you, probably does not exactly a page turner. But another book that comes to mind is Sleep Smarter by Sean Stevenson. And for those who want to look into it, are really interested in practical ways and a guided way to improve their sleep, he has a really good reference at the end. It's a sleep makeover, right?
Yeah.
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 And maybe we can talk about that a little bit more next time.
Let's do
And,
that. Let's kind of refer back to that book. 'Cause I think that that's a great manual for anyone. It is an easy read. So different than Why We Sleep by Matthew Walker, Sleep Smarter by Sean Stevenson is an easy read. It's you can pick up in any chapter. You don't have to read it in order. It's kind of like a reference book. Like pick a chapter, read it, try that thing. If it works, great. If it doesn't work, pick another chapter, and so it's something that can be easy to work through. And I think it has a lot of ideas and recommendations that many people have never heard of or tried before. So, and then we can talk maybe next week about his 14-day makeover and what that could look like to really start to transform your sleep, people listening, their sleep.
Yeah. That sounds great. That sounds great. And it's what, and I love, I'm stealing your phrase, Patrick, these 1 degree turns we're not, if, don't expect yourself to go from not sleeping well to, overnight like that. This takes time to, and just one little change at a time. Yeah. We had a listener ask, what do we mean when we say lux? And lux is a measurement of light output. And so it's about the illuminescence levels of different lighting. For example, a bright sunlight is 107,000 or something.
Yeah.
When it's an overcast day, it's more like 1,000. That's like, but it's still quite a few. It's still enough visible light to anchor your body clock. So so that's what lux is.
Great
All right.
question.
Well,
thanks for that.
Yeah, that's a great question. Hey, it looks like you're coming down to the wire, Rachel.
Yeah, I gotta go. I'm a minute late, y'all. My people are all waiting going, where is she? So I'm going to bust out of here.
Okay. Thanks so much.
We'll see you guys next
week. Okay. Bye. Yeah. And we want to, we're going to end our day with what's for dinner. So, cause that's the name of our show here. So what's for dinner for me? And I was wanting Rachel to know this because, but I'm back to my base salad, which I know everybody's heard about forever and ever. It's my purple cabbage and my orange carrot and my red bell peppers. And I've got that green kale. And I'm throwing some mushrooms in there for one more color. And then I had sunflower seeds, but I have roasted some tofu. Cutting it up and the extra firm in cubes, toss that with avocado oil and my favorite seasonings, roast that in the oven for 20 minutes or so. And, I forgot nutritional yeast, throw that in there, a little more protein that way. And then let that cool. And then I throw that on top of my base salad. And we were able to make this week demonstrate a blue cheese ranch dressing that is really out of this world. So I'm using a little bit of that too. Anyway, actually, that's what I'm gonna have for lunch, and that's what I'm having right now. So we'll talk more